Hello, Lantern Road 2nd grade. It's Mrs. Billman with our first art project from our Traveling with Felix book for this year, which is Felix and the Flying Suitcase Adventure. Now, we heard 2 chapters of Felix to get us going, and the reason I combined those 2 into one art project study is because he starts not from his home in Ohio with his owner Sophie, but from Germany, where Felix and his owner Sophie are visiting her Aunt Etta. So with our first stop in Germany and our second stop in Romania, the Transylvanian part of Romania, where we saw Dracula's castle, we're going to complete a castle silhouette study. So I am going to change my camera view, and you might remember it gets a little wild and wonky, so I appreciate your patience with that. As I get my camera set up as a document camera, with your patience in place and good listening. I know it makes some strange sounds as I get set up. You will see that I have a drawing that fulfills the 1, 2, 3 rule of composition that we learned last year and a bit the year before. 1 stands for one focal point, and there's a reason that sounds like the word focus, because we need one item that we are to focus on first when seeing this artwork. 2 stands for 2 background items to provide balance. There's one, there's another. And 3 stands for 3 extra special details or things you like to add. All of these are a minimum. So could you have more than one focal point? You might have more than one thing in your focal point. So maybe you have 2 castles in this particular art study. Could you have more than 2 background items? Yes, but not less, please. And could you have more than 3 extra special details? Absolutely, but not less than 3. Once you have drawn your 1, 2, 3 rule of composition castle, and don't forget to take a peek at the examples in Canvas. You will find Dracula's castle, you will find Neuschwanstein, which is the inspiration for the Cinderella castle at Walt Disney World. And you will find another castle that has some very good ideas for towers and rooftops that I thought you might like to see as well. Of course, you're welcome to safely search different German and Romanian castles as long as you're a good digital citizen. Once you've drawn, and please note, I haven't added many details that I normally would. For instance, bricks or stone, marks that show wooden planks on my drawbridge, many pine needles or many leaves, because we are completing a silhouette art image. Here is the image I drew in silhouette. That means that my artwork is lit from behind by a very strong light source, like a moon that is very bright, a sun that is going down or coming up, but things appear to be completely black in an artwork or in silhouette if they are lit very brightly from behind. A good example of this that you might have already seen is anytime you're near the ocean, lake, pond, any body of water, and the sun is going down and reflecting on the water. It makes everything near the beach or body of water appear to be black, from houses and condos to palm trees and other types of trees. We've sort of taken that and applied it to our castle study. One of the reasons I like silhouette is because I can hide any mistakes I make. If I was trying to attempt to draw every single stone on my castle, I don't need to. It's going to be colored in black. If I'm not great at drawing tree branches, this is the project for me. I don't need to be good at that. Everything's going to be colored black. The only things that are not colored in black are the sky, any windows or doors that you would like to appear as though they're lit up by candlelight or by sunset or sunrise, and any clouds that you would like to take on the colors of the sunset or sunrise. I also have an open crescent moon. I would like my paint to flow into my moon as well. Just like we did on our Art to Remember project, we're going to use that good old technique of getting our paper wet first. Only this time you'll be doing that yourselves at your table. When we were in the art room together, I strolled around with a spray bottle, and that's how I wet your paper for you. You'll get this wet with a brush, and then you will apply stripes of watercolor in red, orange, and yellow. The reason we're using the warm temperature colors is so it appears as though the sun is going up or going down, depending on what you like. You don't need to have a moon in your castle silhouette. I wanted one. Mine is almost at night, so of course mine is sundown. My next stripe of color is going to be orange. You want a fairly wet brush to do this. You want to make sure your brush is wet enough that you're not digging with your brush into your paint. My next stripe of color will be yellow, and then I'll start over. And you can see how the paint flowing into my open windows that I did not color black makes it appear as though there is candlelight. There would not have been electricity in these old castles. And I'm going to leave this whole bottom stripe extra wide and tall so that it is just red, orange, and yellow. You can go red, orange, yellow till you get to the bottom if you prefer. And I want you to notice that the marker I used is Sharpie. It's fine if you use a Marks-A-Lot, but it must be, no matter which type you use, permanent. This will not work if you use a water-based marker. Your marker has to be permanent. They have an alcohol base instead of a water base. Otherwise, when we paint our sky for our silhouette, your marker will run as part of the paint, will run into it. It will also run across your paint. We won't see your castle or your other hard work anymore, or not well if we can still see it. You want to make sure your silhouette is entirely colored with permanent marker. That's especially important for those of you working at home. I know that if you are 100% virtual, that you may not have watercolors at home. Use what you have and do the best you can with what you have. You can still create a silhouette even if you don't have paint. Just make sure you're using warm colors in your sky, and make sure that if you do have paint that's not watercolor that you would like to use, that you are using a great amount of water. Watery tempera will work. Watery acrylic will work. However, they will cover your permanent marker a bit or a lot if you don't get them very watery. So have an extra cup of water on hand and a nice big brush so that you can really get that paint watered down. As always, if you are 100% virtual, send me questions in Canvas if you don't understand a piece or part of this project. And the last bit of instruction about this is that this project is a 2 or even 3 art room visit project. That tells those of you working at home that this is not a sit down and finish it from start to absolute finish project. This would take almost 3 weeks or 3 art room visits. So about 2 weeks or 2.5 if you were going by that schedule. So please do not think that I expect you or any art teacher would expect you to sit down and draw the 1, 2, 3 rule, color all of your black with permanent marker plus paint in one sitting. That is definitely not how this gets complete. Mrs. Billman works faster. Mrs. Billman works a little bit quicker with a smaller size paper than you will have. And that is so you can see one video. You may pause, you may stop this, you may rewatch this in order to get your project complete.